Imagine for a moment that the great red spot of Jupiter, one of the most striking features in our solar system, has disappeared. Astronomers have been watching it for centuries, and to suddenly find it gone would be a major shock. But what if they found something even stranger? What if the great red spot turned out to be a huge alien city? How big could such a structure be? Could humanity ever build something like this? And what do astronomers really know about the great red spot? This is the incredible story of one of the greatest mysteries of our time. It's hard to overstate how massive the Great Red Spot is. It's large enough to swallow Earth whole. To be more precise, its diameter is 16,000 kilometers. That's almost twice the size of our planet, and its width is more than 30,000 kilometers. The Great Red Spot isn't just wide and long, it's also high. Its height above Jupiter's surface reaches 3,000 kilometers. As for the age of this amazing phenomenon, it's known that it exists for at least 400 years, although some scientists believe that it may be much older. The first European to see the Great Red Spot was the Italian astronomer Giovanni Cassini. He made his discovery in 1665 using a telescope from his home in Nizza. It's not known exactly when the storm began. Some astronomers suggest that it formed in 1572. They came to this conclusion after studying the drawings of the Great Red Spot made by the German astronomer Christoph Scheiner. However, there is no conclusive evidence that it actually existed at that time. In any case, the fact remains that the storm has been on Jupiter for several centuries, and no matter how strange it may sound, it seems to be getting stronger every year. Initially, scientists assumed that the Great Red Spot is an ordinary storm. Such phenomena are common on other planets of the solar system. For example, Neptune has a similar storm. On Earth, we also have storms, but they don't last too long. An ordinary thunderstorm, for instance, lasts no more than an hour. If it goes on for several days, it becomes a real disaster. And if it's accompanied by high winds, heavy rain, and a drop in temperature, then it's a real typhoon or hurricane. These powerful vortices can destroy entire cities. But the Great Red Spot of Jupiter is not just a storm. It's a real monster. In the 19th century, scientists thought that the Great Red Spot was nothing more than a mountain range on Jupiter's surface. This assumption seemed quite logical. After all, mountains often have a reddish color. But later, observations from space showed that this was not true. The mountain range theory was abandoned, and scientists returned to the idea that the Great Red Spot was a giant storm. However, when the Voyager probes approached Jupiter in the 80s, they took pictures of the planet and sent them back to Earth. The images showed that the Great Red Spot wasn't a solid body, but a huge vortex. Moreover, it was clear that this vortex was sucking in gases from Jupiter's atmosphere and then throwing them up into the upper layers of the planet. But that still didn't explain why the Great Red Spot is so big. To date, there are two main versions explaining the origin of this phenomenon. According to the first version, the Great Red Spot is a kind of gate through which the energy of Jupiter's magnetic field penetrates. Through this gate, ionized particles of the solar wind are sucked in. As a result, the gases of Jupiter's atmosphere begin to move at high speed, and this creates a powerful vortex. The second version says that the Great Red Spot is the result of a collision between Jupiter and another celestial body. Presumably, this object was a comet or asteroid. There's no consensus among scientists yet, and perhaps the truth lies somewhere between these two versions. But one thing's for sure, the Great Red Spot is a very dangerous place. If spacecraft are affected by Jupiter's magnetic field, they can easily be knocked out of their orbit and crash into the planet. For example, the Italian spacecraft Galileo, which studied Jupiter in the 90s, repeatedly risked being destroyed near the Great Red Spot. It's not surprising that the Great Red Spot attracts the attention of astronomers around the world. Every scientist wants to get as close to it as possible to collect as much data as possible. But even modern technology isn't able to bring us too close to this mysterious vortex. In the best-case scenario, we can approach it within 1,000 kilometers. But what if someday in the future, humanity invents a new type of engine that allows us to travel to distant planets without much effort. Then we can go to Jupiter and see the great red spot with our own eyes. But what if we take it a step further? What if someday we decide to build our own city on the great red spot? Of course, this sounds fantastic, but let's try to imagine what this extraordinary city might look like. First, we need to take care of its shape. It's unlikely that we'll be able to build a flat building on the surface of Jupiter. It's much easier to build something like a sphere or a torus. This ring-shaped structure will make it possible to evenly distribute the load and won't collapse under its own weight. In addition, a torus is a very stable geometric shape that can withstand even strong winds, so the walls of our city won't collapse from external influences. Another important point is that the inhabitants of the city won't be able to breathe normally. The atmosphere of Jupiter consists mainly of hydrogen and helium, and there's almost no oxygen in it. Therefore, we'll have to create artificial air in our city. But we'll have to think about more than just the atmosphere. The pressure on Jupiter's surface is about 100 times higher than on Earth. At such pressure, our eardrums would burst. Therefore, we'll have to protect ourselves from the outside world with a special suit that would allow us to move freely around the city. And what will the streets of our city look like? Probably not like the streets we're used to. After all, it's not entirely clear what gravity is on Jupiter. Most likely, it will be much lower than on Earth. Perhaps we'll have to walk along the walls of the torus, holding on to special handles, and instead of cars, we'll have to use devices that move along rails. How can we light our city? Ordinary lamps won't work. There's no oxygen on Jupiter to burn anything. Perhaps we'll have to use luminous paint or something like that. But the most important thing is to make the city beautiful, and for this purpose, we'll have to plant trees and flowers on its territory. Only if we surround ourselves with beauty will we be able to adapt to the strange conditions of Jupiter and feel comfortable here. But is it even possible to build such a city? The answer is yes, it is possible, but only if we use the latest technologies. We'll have to create a powerful 3D printer capable of operating in outer space. This printer will have to print the walls of our future city layer by layer using special material that can withstand the incredible pressure of Jupiter. But where will we get this material? To solve this problem, we'll have to send mining robots to the planet's surface. They'll have to mine minerals and deliver them to the 3D printer. But how do we power this process? Solar panels won't work because there's practically no sunlight on Jupiter. We'll have to use a nuclear fusion reactor. Modern technology isn't quite ready for this yet, but who knows? Perhaps in the future we'll be able to build entire cities on other planets. But in any case, we must not forget that Jupiter is a very dangerous gas giant. Even if we manage to build a city there, we'll have to constantly fight for our place in this solar system. For example, we'll have to protect our colony from meteor showers, and there are a lot of meteors on Jupiter. In addition, sometimes the planet's magnetic field can generate powerful radiation that destroys everything in its path. But perhaps our colony will be attacked not by natural phenomena, but by aliens. Yes, we can only speculate about whether there's life on Jupiter, but one day we might find out that we're not alone in the universe, and these aliens aren't necessarily friendly. Moreover, they can consider our colony an intergalactic Chernobyl and destroy it without thinking twice. And yet the conquest of Jupiter is an important step for mankind. If we learn to live on this gas giant, we'll be able to explore the most powerful storm in the solar system up close. And who knows what discoveries await us ahead. But if you want to learn more about the amazing features of our universe, stay tuned and watch the next video.